Sony, 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 Sony. I have one question. Why does The Last of Us remake look absolutely mid? Like, honestly, if I wanted to play The Last of Us 1, I won't have to spend $70 on the PS5 version. Sorry, had to think for a second. I would honestly just rather pull my PS4 out, buy that version for like $10 to $15, and honestly, I feel like I'd be fine with that. It doesn't need a remake. It just came out this last generation with a remaster. There's no reason to make a remake of a game that's not even 10. I mean, it's almost 10 years old, but unlike Resident Evil's 1 through 4, Resident Evil 1's remake, which I still consider that an actual remake to me, that feels like more of like an HD version of what it was supposed to be. And then you have Resident Evil 2, which that was probably the best remake we've gotten from Resident Evil so far. And then they have Resident Evil 3, which I felt like was a big disappointment. And they have Resident Evil 4 coming out, which I hope is going to be good, because it's my favorite Resident Evil game, bar none. So you make The Last of Us Part 1 remake, because you know after The Last of Us 2 and how shit that game was, you're like, hey, let's go back to the classic. Oh, I saw the leaks. I did see the leaks. And I'm not hyped about it. I mean, it looks like The Last of Us on PS4. That's about it. I mean, there was really no difference, like, at all. I'm hoping that it's, like, that's, like, alpha footage. Because if that's alpha footage, I'd understand. But the game's coming out in, like, 2 months. It's coming out in September. All right? It's coming out in September. You have 2 months to fully flesh out whatever you're doing with that game and making the better version of The Last of Us 1, which doesn't even look like the best version of The Last of Us 1. It legitimately looks like PS4's Last of Us 1 ported to PS5 and PC, and I'm like, no, it doesn't even really look great. It looks mid. It looks very mid. Like, it's like going from God of War, the God of War PS4 to God of War PS5. It looks like the same game. Like, Ragnarok's gonna be freaking capped at 60 frames per second anyway, so what's the point? Like, here's the thing. Here's the thing about about PlayStation, and this is just coming from me. I feel like PlayStation pretty much died for me when they announced the PS5. I felt like God of War, the new God of War, the reboot, is very mid. Like, it's just a mid game. It will never beat the first 3 God of Wars, in my opinion. I think those 3 are perfect the way they are. I'd prefer those 3 compared to these 2. I know we haven't gotten Ragnarok yet, but let's be honest. It took you this long to do a release trailer for Ragnarok, which was only like 50 seconds long, and it's coming out in November. And that's the only bit of gameplay we've gotten since the reveal. The game's not coming out in November. God of War Ragnarok is not coming out in November. God of War Ragnarok will probably come out about the week before or the week after Starfield does. I'll be honest with you. It's probably coming out the same week as Starfield. I wouldn't be surprised. So, that's just me. I don't know. It's just like all these Sony games, I feel the same way about Horizon. I wasn't a really big fan of Zero Dawn. I wasn't really into Forbidden West. I've seen most of it Forbidden West. I don't care enough to buy it. And here's the thing about where Sony fucked up. The fact where Sony fucked up with God of War and Horizon, it still came out for PS4. That is where, in my opinion, Sony fucked up with God of War Ragnarok. It's still getting a PS4 release, which means frame rate will be capped at 60. It's not going to be 120. That's just going to be capped at 60. MLB The Show still is capped at 60. Every other Sony release, like Sony exclusive release on the console, is capped at 60. There hasn't been a single PS5 release that's exclusive to PlayStation that is not capped at 60. They're all capped at 60. Spider-Man was capped at 60. Like, all these games were capped at 60. Like, that's the thing. Like, it's sad when the Xbox version of MLB The Show is a superior version of MLB The Show when it was made by fucking Sony. That's what makes no sense to me. Is when your game on another console is a better version of said game. Like, why? Like, they come out... Okay, so, The Last of Us Part 1... God knows, if they port The Last of Us 2 to PC, probably won't even be bought by anyone. Let's be honest. No one cares to buy The Last of Us 2. We've all seen how much of a shit show disaster that game was. So, they're releasing Spider-Man on PC, which is coming out next month, and it looks great. It does. It looks like the better version of the game, which it's going to be. Because it's PC. When you get a PC release, for the most part, if it's like not Call of Duty related, because Call of Duty PC ports are complete trash and dumpster fires. But for the most part, like the PC ports of like Spider-Man or God of War, even the God of War PC port is better than the PS4 version, PS5 version. It's not even a PS5 version. It's just a PS4 version for the most part. They just upscaled it. For some reason, I still don't understand why you come out with the PS4 version, but when you get it up to the PS5, it still runs like complete shit. I don't understand that. But anyway, I digress. So, every Sony game that's on a different platform is the better version of the game, which is mind-boggling. It really is. MLB The Show. Spider-Man looks probably a better version than what it was on PS4, PS5. God of War is the better version on the PC, obviously. PC versions for those games are obviously going to be miles ahead of the PlayStation versions. The only thing we're missing is Bloodborne and Demon's Souls. Let's be honest. Those are the two games, if they got PC ports, would be fantastic. Well, I wouldn't even say fantastic, because the, Elden Ring's PC port for like the first couple months wasn't that great. But for the most part after that, I've seen people change their minds completely. But why does PlayStation's ports to their games just suck? I don't understand why. Like, I know I sound like a broken record. I really do. But I've seen the leaks of The Last of Us 1. I've seen all the videos. And comparing them to the gameplay of The Last of Us on PS4, if you see side-by-side gameplay, it looks no different. The PS4 version just looks a little darker. That's it. Just a little darker. Which personally, I like in that world, I feel like I would like darker than lighter, but that's just me. So, yeah, I don't understand what Sony's doing. I will never understand what Sony's doing. And Xbox now has a partnership with Discord, which Sony did like 2-3 years ago, and they still haven't came out with shit for Discord. So, I don't know. You can call me an Xbox fanboy, call me whatever you want. I don't care. I just know which I own 3 consoles. I own the Switch, I own the Series X, I own the PS4, which my PS4 is actually collecting dust, believe it or not. The last game I played for it was probably Spider-Man when I 100%ed it. Actually, no, that is a lie. I played Horizon Zero Dawn, and I quit after like 5 hours. So, that's that. I did not like Horizon. I felt like the game was a shitty Far Cry. Because that's what it felt like, a shitty Far Cry. Too much interaction with your character. Like, I can't even say interaction with your character. Your character talks a lot. Saying, I should go here. That's fine with Nathan Drake. Nathan Drake says I should go here. That's perfect. Because it's Nathan Drake. He's sarcastic, talking to himself all the time about treasure. So, it fits Nathan Drake. But I digress. I don't know. I just say Sony is messing their entire situation up. The PS5 is... It's selling good. I can't even say selling good anymore. It was selling good, but they have a teeny problem with the shortage chip problem, and, Xbox decided to take advantage of that, which money talks. Money talks. Money will always talk. So, that's my question to everyone. Did you enjoy God of War? If so, comment why. Personally, the newer God of War games, very mid. Didn't really deserve Game of the Year in my opinion. I mean, I knew it was going to win, but just like The Last of Us Part 2, I knew it was going to win because it didn't deserve it. Ghost of Tsushima should have definitely won Game of the Year that year. But yeah, that's all from me. I will see you guys in the next video. Take care. And I appreciate the support in the last couple of videos. See ya.